I'm Draco Self-Important, and you should still listen to me, and this is part 3. So, I'm staying with my mother. I'd mentioned previously I was supposed to be staying with her, for like a month, and that lasted like 2 days before she, just, wow. Um, so after looking at her and screaming and crying and going like I'm serious, like I'm gonna fucking die about it, and her being very like, man, what about me? I just walked out the fucking door. It was winter. I mean, granted, it wasn't super cold. It wasn't snowy. Like, it was wet and it was cold. And I was wearing stupid boots and. Um, and so I started walking and I messaged, and my friend was staying at his in laws for the holiday, and so was not home. And so then I messaged Ian and was like, "Hey, like, are you home?" Or I was gonna, but um, and I was like, part of me was like, I should walk there, except that walking there was like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 miles or some shit. And like earlier that day, I had already like walked so very long to get away from my mother and her fights. And I had already tried to like take some time and get away and be like, eh. And then I came back and it was just as fucking atrocious. And I was debating walking to the dollar store to buy razors, just razor blades, or try to walk to my friend's house entirely too far away in the cold. And I message Ian and he calls me and he's like, "What the fuck is going on?" And I'm like walking on the street in the rain, crying, and he's like, "Where are you? I'm coming to get you right now." And like, we hadn't known each other that long, man. Like, I don't know, a year plus? Because, we met when I was pregnant, and the baby was like a yearish at this point. And yeah. To say that I was debating between going back and forth between those two places, I had walked so much and I was so done. Like, I was throwing out one last rope as I walked to buy razor blades. Like, that's, like, oh my God. But that's the sort of person that he was, and it wasn't just that he would have done that for me, he would have done that for anyone. And, like, he did do shit like that for other people. Like, there are lots of times that he told me about, staying up late talking to people, and, like, it's just who he was. He took on everyone's pain, but couldn't handle his own. There's a possibility that it was an accident. I don't think it's a very good possibility, but there is one. But honestly, I'd rather believe he did it on purpose, because I'd rather believe it was something that he chose and that he had that moment of peace and that he chose to give us a goodbye. I am so incredibly thankful that he made a point to spend time with me. Because I know with every bit of my being that even if he did choose to end his own life, it was not in an effort to hurt anyone, and that he thought that he was doing us all a favor. He thought we'd be better off. This conversation we had at other times that he was suicidal, and I would scream at him and I'd be like, it's a delusion. We will not be better off. We will all be worse off. No one's gonna be better off without you. You have no idea, man. We're not gonna be better off without you. I'm not. I basically watched him die for a year before he actually died. Like, I watched him go in and out of ridiculous depths of addiction, and he'd be so pale and so thin and just purple under his eyes, and then he'd gain weight back and start eating again, and just and I don't know that I would have survived his survival, you know? I feel bad because at the end I could not keep up because I was absolutely struggling, and he was like sending me cryptic text messages, like, and I didn't know what to say, and I feel like I failed him. I'll always feel like I failed him. It's not like that does me any good, but on one hand, it's the like, it's better to have loved and lost of it all, but on the other hand, I hesitate to want to actually try to, like, make friends. Because I don't want to feel like this again. The only other friends that I've lost as an adult were due to cancer, and so we saw it coming. And although it was horrible, God, I still think about Tom a lot. Sorry. Um, just went off on a whole tangent in my head there. Yeah, my friend, Tom Jordan, years ago, um, had pancreatic cancer and went on like a farewell tour, basically. Like, making time to, like, go out to dinner with like all of his friends. And oh God, he was such a sarcastic bastard. I loved him so much. Um, but Jesus, that was nothing. And I'm not ready to feel that kind of loss again. And you never know what's going to happen with people. And it's just another element that makes me afraid to go out into the world and like try to make friends or whatever. I'm gonna pause so I can blow my nose. Please hold. I still can't really breathe through my nose, but at least there's not so much pressure that I feel like it's going to implode my head. Um, God, I remember the first time that he met my youngest when she was a tiny little baby. And he was holding her. His little chest hair was sticking out of his t shirt, and she wrapped her little. It may not have been the first time, but it's like the first time that she was old enough to actually like engage with him, you know? Because I'm sure he held her at some point when she was like a worm blob of a baby. That babies like become humans as they go. They start out as worm blobs of doom. Like, I don't know. The whole idea that a fetus at any point is a person, when I'm pretty sure babies aren't people until they're at least like a month old. You watch them develop a light behind the eyes. Like, you give birth to a puppy, basically. Like, as far as like cognition and like you like watch them become people. It's a real weird thing. Um, and if you don't think that that's the case, then I don't think you understand babies. Um, dude, no, but she just loved him from the jump. They were best friends. They're always best friends. God, I remember it was like a solid year that, like, every day, the baby would say some shit about Coco Melon. I don't like Coco Melon. One day, she asked Ian, while he was watching her, if he liked Coco Melon. And because he's the agreeable sort of dude that he was not going to argue with the child. He's like, yeah, I like Coco Melon. So then for a year, every time I'd say some shit about, oh God, I don't want to watch Coco Melon, I'd hear, well, Uncle Ian likes Coco Melon. Jesus Christ, bro. Like, yeah, he sure does. No, he's just too sweet to tell you he doesn't. I've got some of his old stuff, like this Squishmallow I got for him is a bat. Um, this also I got for him. He had so much Grogu shit. There's more Grogu shit about. Um, the baby has a like one that has like a like actual metal Mandalorian necklace thingy. Um, and she had some little neighborhood friends come over for the first time the other day, and she was like, "Oh yeah, that was my uncle Ian's. He passed away." And she's just like so nonchalant about it, and it's just like, because then my mom died. Dude, like, she has not mentioned my mother once. Not once. Because she hadn't seen her since fucking July. Because the woman had not even asked. Like, she didn't care. Once she had convinced everybody that I was a piece of shit, then she felt free and clear to not actually have any obligation to any of them. Never stopped her from talking to the kids, and she never asked to talk to the littlest. So it's like, I don't know what to tell you, bro. Because one of the times before when we stopped talking, before the older kids were old enough to have their own phones, she would be like, I want to talk to the kids, and I would dial the phone and hand it to the kids. Like, her not talking to me didn't necessarily mean she wasn't going to talk to the kids. I'm not that guy. Like my aunt, who I told to fuck the fuck off and I never wanted to hear from again, the oldest was like, hey, do you have her number? Here you go. I've told him everything I think. Like, at least most of it. I don't think I've gone through this latest fuck you of it all because I don't think that would be helpful to him, quite frankly, because he liked my mother. Because he's the only one of the kids that she treated well, so can't imagine why he's the one who liked her. Maybe if she'd treated them all that way, they'd all care. Ha ha ha. Grief is a bitch, and you don't get it till you get it. I mean, that's what it boils down to. You don't understand the pain of losing someone who is incredibly important to you until you do it. Like, it sounds horrible and it sounds awful and you can feel for people and but until you have your like go-to human being gone in the blink of a fucking eye, like, you don't know. And if you don't, I hope you never do. Like, at some point, like, as you get older, you start to lose people. But, like, when you lose people because they're old, it's one thing. But Jesus Christ, man. Too many fucking people did drugs. Childhood best friends that no longer fucking exist. I don't know, man. I was listening to a song. I think it was a Run the Jewels song. Um, it was like something like, "I'd say see you soon, but you never left because you're always on my mind." Like it was essentially the moral of the story was like, yeah, you're dead, but I still talk to you like you're here, and I still think about you constantly. So like, you never really left. And I mean, it's how I feel, man. I don't know. So I hesitate because the internet sucks. But so this, it's hard. Wait, can I get back far enough to see it? Yes. It's plastic resin. So, it's giving a nice little reflection from my side. So, if you look closely, I'm spilling on my bed. Um, you will see these little fleckles here in the resin. Those are, as they say in the industry, cremains. Before my brother died, we talked about getting a sunflower tattoo together. Um, there was a story of a Ukrainian woman handing out sunflower seeds to Russian soldiers so that when they died, sunflowers would grow. And we were like, that's totally brutal. Like, like, that's the most metal shit I've ever heard. I love it. Yes. Um, and so sunflowers became kind of a like, I don't know, a symbol in my mind that makes me think of Ian. And so I busted out one day with some construction paper and my watercolor markers, and I made this handy dandy little sunflower. And then I used my little watercolor markers to like make it all like, ooh, look at the little sky, it's so pretty. And then there are actual sunflower seeds here. These ones are like the yum yum edible kind. These little guys would grow into purple sunflower seeds if they were planted, because purple was Ian's favorite color, which is handy because his birthstone is amethyst. I tried to say amethyst and stone in some sort of weird combo word. Um, so yeah, I was like, oh, I made this thing, and I had been like working with lucite to do or plastic resin or whatever the fuck to try to do other shit. I tried to preserve